this book a couple of years ago. Now look at that. Now my Prime Minister wrote that. Now there he is. And I want him to be him. Let's be mindful. There are 186 coastal MPs. These MPs should be fighting tooth and nail for their constituencies and their constituents. Simple as that. That's their job. They are elected into that position to ensure that we take back full control of our waters and the resource. That's the deal. Simple as that. That's why they got their position they've got, and that's the job they need to do. Fishing is the most sustainable, renewable resource the UK has. You take a bit, you leave a bit, and when you come back, there's a little bit more. What other country would give that away? Number two, coastal communities. So don't they matter anymore? So we just write coastal men and women off, do we? Do we just say, well, now don't worry about them? Oh, hang on a minute. What about all the great vacays that happened this year? Where did everybody flock to? To the coastal towns and villages. How are we supposed to maintain these coastal towns and villages with no money? How do we keep the flower beds pretty? How do we look after our roads and buildings? Keep our beaches nice and sandy and clean, getting the blue flag for our beaches. How are we supposed to fund that? No, you can't have any GDP. No, because you're the sorry people. We're the kings and queens. That's going to stop. I work with DEFRA. They're clueless. They don't know how to rebuild it. I'm sure they think, oh, this 3 years will give them time. And would you put your country, just because you haven't done the work and put the graft in for the last 4 years, they're a disgrace. We knew we would leave 4 years ago. They should have started to do the rounds. But I know processors, fishermen. No one's even been to see us. We wrote the reef report, which I delivered in Westminster. In that shows you how you rebuild. People say, well, we haven't got the boats. We have got the boats. We're ready. The industry is ready. I sell fish. I'm ready. I'll be able to sell my fish all over the world. I ain't got a problem with that. Don't worry about us. Worry about government. They are not ready. I still go back to the 186 coastal MPs, wherever they are. Get out of your hole and get on with some hard work. Roll your sleeves up and start doing what you're paid to do. At the end of the day, we need a strong, honest government what will do the best for coastal communities. And I find it quite funny, really, all through the years that I've been campaigning for coastal communities and the fishing industry, I've took some stick from the lovies in London who really don't care. I say our natural resource, whether it's aggregates, oil and gas, wind energy, it's our back garden. And like I always say, we want it back. You only have to say, look at Iceland, what they did. They realised that we were taking advantage of them and they said, no, we're taking it all back and off you go. Look how successful Iceland is now. Mr. Barney will try it on. That's his job. They've employed him to do that. But we'll stand firm and he is not going to take advantage of our country anymore. Coastal communities are waiting in the aisles to know that they've got a future. There's none of this, oh, this might happen. They try and confuse us with, oh, we will be taking back our territorial waters. It's just, and a lot of the general public actually believes that. They think once we leave the EU and we take our waters back, that's it, done. We can rebuild. Well, it's not like that. Until we take back full control, and I can't stress it enough, it is the quota. 54% of quota is on flagships. It has to come back to this country for us ever to rebuild our coastal communities.
I stood in Lowestoft and watched a grown man cry because his boot was cut up for decommissioning. His sons worked on the boat with him and one of his cousins worked with him. And he had to sell that boat. The government decommissioned that boat. Where they took his licence, they took his boat and they cut it up for scrap metal. That whole family have never worked since. They had to do that under this multi-annual guidance plan. Jobs are paramount to everything. With this horrible pandemic we're now gone through, there's nothing more apparent than you've got to create jobs and produce food. We go to sea, we catch fish. That's food we catch. We get money for it, but the nation gets food from it.
If I'd have been elected in Lowestoft and this was happening, I would be causing riots in that parliament now. I'd have rounded up the rest of those coastal MPs and I'd have said, what the hell are we going to do? The great British public, they assume once you take back control of the waters, that automatically we have the fish and happy days, we get on rebuilding coastal communities. It's not about that. So I am not happy with that at all. And I do keep banging on about these coastal MPs. I mean, they were elected to do a job. My MP where I live, he's not bad because obviously I'm here biting at the bit with him all the time. But where are they all? Have they really put party before the people they represent? I mean, is that what they have become? I'm hurt, I'm upset, and I'm worried for coastal communities that are deprived. There's social problems, there's loneliness, alcoholism, drug abuse, various dreadful things that go on in these deprived areas that people just do not know about. My job won't be over until I see all that fish, all that resource returned to our country, because we still won't be able to rebuild the UK fishing communities until that happens. Now, there's two ways that can happen. A strong, honest government will address that situation and say to the Dutch and the Spanish who own these flagships, okay, you can keep your quota, but you have to be domiciled in this country. So that means they have to live here, send the kids to school, and one big thing, pay tax. Because at the moment, this has been going on for years and years and years. Our government hasn't looked at it, and none of this money has gone into the Treasury. So what this will mean to coastal communities once we take back that is they'll start to rebuild, Martin. You agree? I mean, that'll take a few years. I think within a year, you know, if we make these flagships start to land their fish here, that we can then kick this process and start that up. The people that follow me, and there's some wonderful people out there. In this country, I can't believe how wonderful they are. They are behind us on this. They really do realise that unless we take back full control, we will never rebuild coastal communities. You know, whether it's oil and gas, whether it's wind, aggregates, whatever it is, what country would give away their ocean? Well, my message to Boris is this. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not. To say the things he truly feels and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows, but did it my way.